So today we come to the end of our 8-week series that I have been calling At the Core of Joy, where we have been taking a look at the core values of Community of Joy. And we do this periodically. I think it's a valuable exercise for us to be reminded of what our core values are and how we are or aren't living them out. Because core values are behaviors that we seek to be a natural part of who we are and what we do. They're not just words on a wall. They're not words on a web. They're not words on a piece of paper that we say, oh, aren't they beautiful? Aren't they wonderful? They're to describe how we're living and who we are. And it's so easy to lose sight of those values that I worked really hard to make them 2 words so that they could be much more memorable than trying to memorize what a whole paragraph would be that describes those values. And for this entire series, I've had them printed in your program. And so I want to look at those this morning because we're to the last one. And these words, these values define who we are becoming, and we are always a work in progress. And for the most part, I think that we live out of 7 of those 8 really, really well. I'll read them and you see if you agree with me. I think the first one, and it's always the first one, is always Jesus. And I think we do that really well. I don't think there's much that we do as a congregation that doesn't seek to live out of the teachings and life and love of Jesus. I think we strive really hard to be the heart, the hands, and the feet of Jesus. I think we live by his teachings. I think we do that really well. I think we also have open arms. I think we welcome people right where they are. I think we're low on judgment. I think we're high on grace and love and acceptance of people and their journey. I think that we live that value really well. And I know we live the serving hands value really well. I mean, our hands are always in something serving. Just this week, we were at the Camden Community Garden. We were at the 5th grade promotion. We were at the 4th grade promotion. We were at the 3rd grade promotion. We were at the 2nd grade promotion. You know, we're involved. We're around. We were praying at Pinehurst on Wednesday. You know, we are doing things that require serving hands. I believe that. We also find ourselves among the broken. We work hard at that. That's another place where we welcome people who come to us broken. Really, all of us have brokenness in our lives, and we do that really well. We do the shelter, and we just live out that value. You know, Jesus is found among the broken, the outcast, the marginalized, those who grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, and the poor, and we want to be found among them too. And I think we are. We get beloved mess. You know, we're honest. No one of us is perfect, and each of our lives is messy. The world we live in is quick to label us, but none of those labels define who we are in God's eyes. We are beloved by God in spite of the messes of our lives. We get that. We live that. That describes who we are, as it should. And we talked about this last week, risking together. You know, Jesus doesn't call us to sit in places of comfort. He sends us out into the world to places where love and grace are needed. He sends us out in teams. We believe that our relationship with Jesus deepens as we trust him by taking risks. It's a scary world, so we take risks together. I think we live that one really well. Giving back. God gives us all that we are and all that we have, and in grateful response, we give back. Our money, our time, our talents, our very lives. We can't outgive God. I think we get that. I think I call us the little church with a big heart, and I think that's very true. I think we are a very generous body of people with our time, with our talents, with our gifts, with our resources. I think we get that. But there's one that I don't think we do at all very well. And that's transformational circles. And it's been a struggle in each of the 3 congregations that Sharon and I have been a part of. It's a struggle in churches all around. There are a lot of churches that don't get transformational circles very well. And so, there was a little bit of a temptation to say, okay, well, since we don't live it very well, let's just cut it out. We've never done it real well. In the 20 years we've been here, we've been better at it than we are now, but we've never really done it real well. So let's just cut it out. And yet, why do I want to do that? I mean, it would make the series the next time I do it 1 week shorter, but that's not a reason to cut it out. I don't want us to cut it out because I see so much potential and possibility that happens when we get this value, when it's lived. I grew up on a farm. You know that. But I haven't lived on a farm all my adult life. But I want to. I want to live on a farm in the worst kind of way. I want to have some pig. No, I don't. I had them. I do want to have some chickens. And I want to have some goats. And I want to have some sheep. Because I like goat's milk. And I like rack of lamb. And I like fresh eggs. Yet I've come to realize that because of the person I married and at the age and stage we are in our lives, and she says, I don't know where she gets this idea I'm going to die before she is, because she's older than I am. But anyhow, she says, if you die and we had a farm, what would I do with all that? Well, I worked it out. Brittany said she'd come and take care of the goats and the chickens, and Tony, she would send her fiance, soon-to-be husband, along to take care of the land, But Sharon says, I don't know. And so I've come to realize that at my age and stage in life, I probably will never live on a farm, but I still have this dream, and I'm not giving up on that dream. And so I've done what I could to make that dream a reality. My whole backyard almost is a garden. I have 3 cherry trees in the front, and soon, I told Sharon, she laughed, I'm going to have a couple of chickens. I'm just counting down the day. Yeah. I'm gonna figure it out. I want a couple of chickens. I like fresh eggs. We have a friend at Pinehurst, a teacher there, that has been bringing me dozens of fresh eggs every couple of weeks, a dozen at a time, and they are the best. You do scrambled eggs. Oh my goodness, you can tell the difference just in the look of them. I mean, they're bright orange and beautiful and tasty. Yeah, clear. Did you know an egg yolk is supposed to be clear? It's not supposed to be cloudy. It's just, and then they eat bugs. The chickens eat bugs and they scratch and they do all this positive stuff. But I know they stink. And I know roosters crow, but I'm not letting go of my dream. But just because I don't have a farm and may never have a farm like I dream of doesn't mean that I should stop wanting one. And the same is true for the church. There is value in circles. Transformational circles. Transformation happens best in circles, I believe. And the church at its core is an agent of transformation, love, and blessing. Luke, the author of Acts and the author of the Gospel of Luke, records a picture of the church at its best and holds that up for us to see and aspire to and to inspire us, I believe. And it's a picture that inspires this core value of transformational circles. The early church hit its sweet spot, and Luke recorded that and holds it up for us. And while it was living in that sweet spot, powerful things happened that aren't happening today because we're not living in that sweet spot. But it didn't stay in that sweet spot long. And I don't know why. I don't understand. But if you read the book of Acts and you see time and time again, as the church is in that sweet spot, all kinds of amazing things are happening in the lives of people, both in the church and outside the church. And while in that sweet spot, Luke records a couple of those amazing things in this passage. Listen to what he says in Acts 2:43 and 47. In 43, he says, "A deep sense of awe came over them all, and the apostles performed many miraculous signs and wonders." We don't see many signs and wonders going on. We did see one today. If you got here early enough and you saw Sharon Huffman walking out, the doctor said it would be 6 months to a year till she was walking. Yeah, she's home. Actually, on the prayer thing, I had that she was home. And then when she walked in the door, I had to change it to she's here. And that's a sign and wonder. And she said herself that she recognizes that, because if she didn't have the power of transformative circles at play in her life, she probably would have given up or wouldn't be where she is in this journey almost 2 months after the accident. 2 months. A broken hip and a broken femur. 2 different legs. And there she was walking, getting in and out of a car, doing great. Early in the journey, they told her that her foot was dropping, that the nerves were damaged, and that she wouldn't. And she does have a brace that lifts it up, but it's not hindering her. It's phenomenal. It is a sign and wonder. The other thing that Luke records here in this that's amazing that we don't see, in verse 47, he says, "And all the while praising God and enjoying the goodwill of all the people." The church praised God and enjoyed the goodwill of all the people. Now, the church is not looked upon with goodwill in our communities, in our world, very much, is it? But here in this day, because they were in their sweet spot, they did. And then he says, "And the Lord added to their fellowship those who are being saved." That's a third amazing thing that happens when we live out of our sweet spot. And talking about experiencing the goodwill of all the people, I saw that this week as well. I attended, actually on, I don't know what day it was. It was Wednesday night, I think it was. The principal at Pinehurst sent me a text message about 8:30 and said, "Hey, Pastor Martin, do you have flyers for summer lunch that I can pass out?" That's like 600 flyers. I didn't have nothing prepared. I said, "Well, can you copy them and cut them apart?" "Yep. Just give me 2 sheets to a page and black and white." And so I contacted Susie, and she got Tessa, and Tessa made these flyers and sent them over, and I hand-delivered a copy of them to Kevin, and he had the staff putting them out in the hands of the students on Friday when they left. And so as I was walking out of school, I realized that it was the 3rd grade promotion ceremony. And so I didn't have any meetings that morning. I didn't have anything I had to do then. So I thought, I'm going to stay and support our mentee and at least be there and let him see me. And so I did. And so after the whole promotion thing was done, the principal, Kevin, started talking about challenging the parents not to allow the summer slide to happen. That happens when kids don't read over the summer. And then he talked about all of the valuable places in the community where they could be encouraged in not letting that happen, the library. And then he said, and there's a lending library at the Camden Community Garden, and he called me out. And he started talking about Pastor Martin Hutchison and Community of Joy Church and our faith-based partner. And he said, we can't do the things that we do here at the school if it wasn't for Community of Joy and all the ways they engage here. And people in the audience started clapping. And I was like, wow. They're clapping for a Christian church. That's goodwill. And so then I thought, our other mentee, even though we're not mentoring him right now, is in 4th grade. And if I stay, Kevin will do the same thing at 4th grade, probably. And sure enough, he did. And I thought, isn't that great? All these parents that have come get to hear about this marvelous, beautiful church called Community of Joy that's creating goodwill in our community. Amazing things happen when we find our sweet spot as a church. I don't know about you, but I long to see that be said of the church today. I long to find a deep sense of awe. I long to see many miraculous signs and wonders being performed in our midst. I long to see the community and the church experiencing the goodwill of all people because of the way the church engages. So let's look at this passage and see what's going on here. When we look at Acts 2:42 to 47, we find that they are devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching, the scriptures. They're studying it together. They're having meals together. They're meeting in homes. They're meeting in church, in worship. They're praying together. They're serving one another. They're giving. It says that they sold their property and brought the proceeds of that to meet the needs of the community. Now, they didn't sell their house, their primary house, but if they had other property, they sold that and they met the needs. They put it all together in a bank, in a common purse, and they used it to meet the needs of people. They didn't do this, no, that's mine, and I'm going to hoard it for me. They met the needs of people. And it's amazing to see what happens. One translation that Tracy likes, it's called the Voice. On Monday night when we were looking at this, it says that there was an intense sense of togetherness. When we have that intense sense of togetherness, look out. Amazing things can happen in and through us when we find our sweet spot. It happens best as we share our life together in intimate ways, eating together, praying together, studying together, serving together, giving together, supporting together. And we can't just get there on Sunday morning alone. It's not enough. Our connections don't happen. And they happen even less in this situation than they do at the 9 o'clock service, because the one thing we do at the 9 o'clock that we can't do here, I mean, we could do it today, but that we can't do here is we sit in a square and we look at each other. And when you sit in a circle or a square and you look at each other, it's different than looking at the backs of someone's head. Or if you sit up front, you can't see who all's behind you. I mean, you know who's here because you were sitting on the stage, Kelly, but if you're not on the stage, you don't know who all's here. I mean, there's lots of Sundays when I stand up to preach and I'm like, wow, all these people came in after I sat down, when I came in to start the service. And there's just amazing things that happen that don't happen on Sunday morning when we connect with each other in more intimate ways. It takes investment of time and self. I see it happening in small ways. I mean, Jean and Ed blow me away with the ways in which they have embraced Michelle and Tyne and Sharon in this time, after Tyne's birth and after Sharon and Michelle's accident. They just have gone over and above. And this morning, Michelle was saying that she sees them, that they have done more for her than blood relatives have even offered. And she was praising God for that connection. I see it in small ways, in other ways. I see it in our youth group. I see it in our praise team. There's an intimate connection that's happening as we do life together, as we share and as we support one another. But I long to see it in all of us. I have seen the power of transformational circles 2 significant times in my life. In our second church, we had a 5 a.m. Tuesday morning men's group. 5 a.m. means if you're going to be 5 miles away at 5 a.m. and you're going to smell good and look decent, you have to get up probably at 4:30. And, these men came in and week out, and we gathered, and there was a spouse that was sleeping and a daughter that was sleeping in the home we met, and they tolerated it. And, the men weren't quiet, because men aren't quiet, right? I saw the power of that. And, it's been 20 years since I've been in that circle with those guys. And a lot of them have gone different ways, but I am still connected deeply to each one that was in that group. A couple have passed on, but to the ones that haven't, I'm deeply connected with them. And one of the ones that passed on, he was younger than I am. He was involved in a very serious accident. The car ahead of him hit a deer, and the deer came through his windshield, and it had an antler, and it struck him right in the heart and killed him instantly. And last fall, his widow was vacationing by herself at the beach, and she contacted us and said, I'd like to get together with you guys. And so we had dinner. 20-some years later, we're still connected. And I saw in that group lives change because of the deepened connection to Christ that happens in transformational circles. And here at Community of Joy, I had a men's group with my friend Stephen Slocum. You heard me talk about him a lot. In that group alone, I saw three marriages transformed. When those guys came to our group, they were on the rocks of leaving their wives. And their marriages were transformed because of the transformative power of that circle. And though that circle didn't live on long after Steve's death, I know that I could call on any one of those guys that were in that circle right now if I had a need, and they would be here for me. Or they could call on me and I would be there for them. Recently, about 6 weeks or so ago, I saw the power of transformative circles begin to work. These two guys, Kevin Cherry, who sits here in our 10:30 service, came to the garden one Saturday to a work day, and he was smart. He brought his hand truck to move cinder blocks. He's been with me every week for the last 6 or so weeks, maybe 7 weeks. And last week, he and Cedric were there by themselves when I was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, getting my wood shop. Cedric is the other guy in the straw hat, and he came about the same time, and he also brought a hand truck because he had driven by and seen what we were doing, and his wife works at Pinehurst and asked her when we were getting together next, and she went online and found it, and they've come every week, and they've been faithful, and we've gotten all these beds done. We have 2 more left to do, and they said to me yesterday at the end of the day, what are we going to do after we get these 2 done? I said, well, I hope you're going to continue to come and garden with me and engage. They've gotten the bug. They've seen it. And actually, Kevin was on vacation at Assateague, camping with his family from Friday until this coming Thursday. And we met yesterday morning at Lowe's at 7:15. So figure out what time he had to leave Assateague on vacation to bring his truck to help me get bricks or blocks to come, because we didn't have enough. I don't know if they walked or I didn't get the amount I was supposed to get when the delivery came, but I didn't have enough. I needed 2 more pallets of each kind of block. And he brought his truck and came and worked, and then went back down to be with his family on vacation for the rest. And then yesterday, when he learned that Emma wants to go to Assateague today for Father's Day and just kind of chill on the beach, he said, well, when you're down there, I'll text you our site number and you come by and visit for a while. We'd love to have you. And if you want to stay for dinner, stay for dinner. You see what's happening? That connection of being together, working together, serving together, sharing together is deepening our connection, our bond. In fact, then Cedric's wife, who works at Pinehurst, saw me one day as I was leaving after the 4th grade promotion service, and she opened the door in the hallway, hollered outside to me and said, hey, Pastor Martin, come here. And she wanted to tell me what a wonderful time her husband's been having at the garden. She said, we've been married 24 years. And he's so excited about this connection that he has with you two guys. I've never seen him involved. He's always been a loner. He's never really been connected to a whole bunch of other guys. And he's loving it. So thank you. You know, you see the power of transformational circles in people's lives when we take the time to invest. I dream of the day when all of us who are a part of Community of Joy can have a transformational circle in our lives to connect in and to. I dream of a day when we can pray together, when we can eat together, when we can serve together, when we can support and find support together, when we can study and learn together and experience the power, the transformative power of the Holy Spirit in our lives as we do that. And I won't let go of that dream because you just never know when that dream will become a reality. So no, I'm not going to drop off this core value and make it 7 instead of 8. You see, in high school, I developed a love for woodworking because I had to take shop. You know, back in the day when I was in high school, you had to take, boys and girls had to take shop and home ec. You had to take a term of each. And if you liked it, you could keep taking one or the other. Well, I liked shop. I liked shop because Mr. Craig, who was my shop teacher, was phenomenal. He knew how to teach. He knew how to make you feel good. He knew how to show you. He didn't do it for you. He showed you how it was done. And I liked it also because we had all of the tools that you needed to do what you needed to do. They were quality tools. When I built Emma's table, when I built the side table for Emma and Caroline, when I built those kind of things and built some things for us in our house, I learned that it's hard when you don't have the right tools. I'm telling you this story because I don't want to ever give up on a dream. I don't want to ever give up on this idea that everybody can have transformational circles in our lives. And so I've always wanted to have a shop, a space, and the tools. Well, last week, part of that dream became reality as my friend Bob, who was in my transformational circle in our second church, gave me $15,000 to $25,000 worth of tools, quality tools. He used them, but they seemed brand new in shape. All I got to do is build the shop, and I'm working on figuring that out now. And you know, look out. If I had given up on that dream, who knows? And the amazing thing is that it's 20 years, 21, 22 years later, after I made the comment to Emma as she was a 2 or 3-year-old in my arms, one day I'm going to have a shop like this. He remembered that. And he was telling me when we were there, when Bob and I were there, that he remembers one of the first times that we were in his home and he had met another leader in the church who was new to the church, that leader had said to him, "You and Pastor Martin must get along well because you both like to woodwork." And he said, "Wow, I remember that too." You just never know. And so I won't let go of the dream that I have to see all of us, each of you, in a transformational circle, because amazing things happen in and through us when we are in a transformational circle. And in each congregation, I have seen what happens when we don't make transformational circles a part of our lives. I've seen people who want better for themselves. And they come and they join the church and they get involved in activities and they start to grow. And it's just amazing to see the transformation begin to happen. And then they fall away. And as soon as they fall away, all that transformation changes. And it goes by the wayside. When we step away from the transformational circle that's helping us to achieve the goal of bettering ourselves, we lose all that ground. You see, we need each other. And my hope is that come fall, we'll take some significant steps toward the goal of everyone in this congregation in a transformational circle. And one final thing. At the end of this few verses, Luke says, "And the Lord added to their number every day those who were being saved." In the sharing time at 9:00, Michelle Bailey shared how it was Kelly who impacted Lynette, and then it was Lynette who impacted Michelle, and then it was Michelle who impacted Sharon, her mom, and then now they're impacting Tanae. And so you see how that happens. And all it took was Kelly befriending and reaching out to and helping Lynette find the power of transformational circles in her life. We all need to be doing that. Not just because there's lots of empty chairs here, but because it's what the Lord calls us to do. And so find someone that you can join in the journey and help them to experience the transformation that God wants to bring in their lives. And watch what happens. The Lord will add to the numbers daily of those being saved.